Hey guys, Tim from Red Goat Garage here. We're in our fourth and final part on how to wire your Tri-5 Chevy. So this is any 55, 56 Chevy Bel Air, 210, 150, wagon, Nomad, convertible, whatever. So part one went over why I chose painless, what the pros and cons are there. Part two was the big episode, almost 2 hours long, and that was mounting the fuse block, wiring everything from the firewall forward. Part three, it's everything pretty much inside, like the dash, all that. Part four, and the final one here, is going to be wiring up everything in the taillights, and I'm going to just include all the wrapping and protection stuff because I haven't done that in any of them yet. So let me show you where we're at. So right now, everything in the dash is done. I got to put the steering wheel back together and all that good stuff, but whatever. I want to test everything first before I completely put it together. Here's all the wiring for the rear of the car, and I was looking at all this. Pretty much all this goes to the back. The tail lights. There's all sorts of good stuff in here. So it's tail lights, turn signals, backup lamps. There's a third brake light wire. There's a fuel pump wire, I believe this guy here. Yeah, so if you're a fuel signal wire, that's for the gas gauge. I believe there's a fuel pump wire in here too. But regardless, there's some common upgrades here. Yeah, this is the red one, number 947 fuel pump. This is just like if you're running like a small electric pump for a carbureted engine, not a fuel injected engine. So this stuff obviously it comes down here from the fuse block. It goes through this channel here, and there's a plate that goes over that. Goes down underneath this little hole here, all the way back up the inner fender there, into the trunk. And you can kind of see some of the factory wires still gotta pull out, but into the trunk, those wires going up there go to the dome light, and it runs along here in these little clips. And I could absolutely run it right now, but I thought, you know what, I need to protect all this, so before I run this whole wiring back, I might as well put it in this stuff. And again, this is the Classic Braid that I picked up from Painless, and it has a memory to it. So you just open it up, you lay your wires in there, and it pops back together. It's super slick stuff. And, you know, obviously it's very abrasive resistant, it's heat resistant up to like 400 some odd degrees. So really nice stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this all on these wires with my, I mean, look at this, is one piece in the kit, way more than I need, but I'm going to go ahead and put that on, then run the wires through, because I don't know, it just seemed like double work to run the wires, then come back and run this through, especially where I got to stick it through some of the harder spots. The only thing I'm going to not do is some of these wires end, well, so I'll probably run it to here, because this is where we have the first set of wires ending. Left tail light, what this pink wire is, regardless. So I have some of them, so I'll run it to here, which should be, you know, get us way more than enough back there. Then the rest of these go to the right side. And also in here is dome light wiring. Oh, and third brake light too. So we'll run that up there. I don't plan on running a third brake light, but I might as well have it sitting up there kind of ready. And who knows, maybe I'll add one. Because on the 57s, especially out of the Tri-5s, they got probably the smallest tail lights. And one thing I did see was a guy, his backup lights, instead of using them as backup lights, he actually put a bulb, a red bulb in there, so when they were sitting there they look like backup lights, but then when he stepped on the brakes they lit up red. And I thought, man, that's pretty cool. At least you kind of got 4 brake lights then. So there's a chance I might do that, but I do want my backup lights. But I might look and see if I can, I might, because I picked up, getting off topic here, but I'm missing one backup lens or backup light assembly, so I found a guy on Facebook and picked it up. But I bet you I could easily add like some red LEDs in there. So this bulb would still do my backup lights, but then right next to it I could drill and do like a little strip of red LEDs so this would light up too. And I might do that because I kind of want the car to look original, but I also don't want to get plowed into in the rear. So there's a chance I might do a third brake light too, because I see some companies on the 55 and 56s, the emblem that goes here, they make it to where there's a lens in there. So that would be your third brake light, which is pretty cool. But I don't know if they make one for the 57, and I probably not going to buy one anyways. But I could always do like a one on the license plate frame or something too. I don't know. Play that. That'd be a project for another day. But for right now, I'm going to start putting this stuff on the wiring. Now this stuff here, there's kind of two different ways to really finish it off, so to speak. Look at this for a big harness, like almost single wire, couple wires, a lot of wires. They include this baggie here. So one, there's zip ties, so you can just at the ends here you can just zip tie this to the wires, which is pretty clean. They also include this stuff, this mastic tape, which this stuff sticks to itself, and that's pretty slick. So I'll show you that at some point too. Just kind of wrap it around itself and it seals and makes for really nice, especially when you have like a breakout, like where you have a run and then some wires come off and you have more of this stuff. That works really well for that too, to kind of seal it all up. And there's electrical tape as well, so there's also that. But stuff's pretty easy to use, but I'll show you. So let's go back over here. So let's get you guys pointed up here. Let's get that out of the way. So here's my rear lamp harness. So I'm just gonna open this up, slide it around. So just kind of open it up, slide it around, and it'll pull back to itself. It has a good memory in it. So I'm just gonna wrap this up, and you can just slide it on up. So it's really pretty darn easy. When it's the single wire stuff, it's a little harder, but not bad. The big stuff's super simple though. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna lay it kind of where it goes, because I do have this single wire that pops out here for the dome light switch. One trick I saw some people do, I haven't done it, but they take a box wrench and you take your wires and you slide it on the box end side, the wrench down there, and then you put that inside here, and then you can pull that wrench and the wrench opens this stuff up and your wires just slide right on in. That's supposed to be work really well too, but I guess that's more like in here, like if you have a long run of wires, but I'm not too worried about that. That's another way you can do it though. But I mean, look at that. That's almost 3 feet in maybe what, a minute or something. Like, pretty easy stuff to work with. You can do every few feet if you want to do a zip tie or something just for some extra protection, but I'm not even going to worry about that. I gotta vacuum this out anyways and clean it all up, but I'm gonna keep moving on this, and I'll get the wires all laid in there, and I'll show you guys what that looks like, and then we can start terminating and finishing off the wiring on this car and see how it looks. I do have to pull that rear bumper in order to get that taillight end on there. So I don't know if I'll finish all that today. Depends on how much free time I got, but we will see. All right, we'll check back with you guys in a second. All right, so we got all the wiring in the braid, ran all the way back. So here goes underneath this little brace. I think these are only on the coupe model, maybe the convertible too, but coupes for sure. 4-doors and wagons wouldn't have this brace. Goes back, goes through that hole right there. Let's go on the back side here. And you can see it coming down all the way down. So here's the rest of the wires here. Now I went ahead, and you probably can't see it, but right here there's a big hole that this guy goes in. These are about hard as concrete. They're the original ones. Painless Supplies new ones. So that's where the wires go out and come right in. Actually, this one you might be able to see. I don't know if you can see that. See this hole? So that's where the wires come through and then come right over to your lights. I also boogered up my finger. But the other thing I did was I snaked the dome light wires there. So there's a hole right there the dome light wires go through. And this is going to just be probably on the coupes. I don't know. 4-doors aren't this way. So here's the original dome light wiring that I get the camera to adjust. It comes along here. I haven't taken it all out yet, but it comes along here behind the headrest. I'm sorry, the headliner. If your headliner's still in the car, I guess I mean, you don't have to replace these wires, but since I can, I'm going to. I'm sure some people just, you could, in the trunk there, you could snip the factory ones and connect the new painless ones and be on your way. So what I did was I snipped it, and then I taped the new wires on there to where I could pull it through right here, and it came apart. So that didn't work. So then what I did was I got a piece of tie wire here. This guy's maybe about 4 foot long, and I tried to go from the bottom up. That didn't work. So I went from the top down, got the tie wire in there, then pulled the wires up. So these are my new wires. I got to snake over to the dome light and hook that up. But it looks like that's just a little, I got to take this off. Yeah, there's like a little tab here. This whole thing will come off. But looks like that's just a little plastic fitting there or something. So I'll wire that in. The other thing is the painless includes a 3rd brake light wire. So I didn't run it up the column, but I ran it here. And I'm going to wrap this up and everything to where it won't get chafed. The same thing with these dome light wires. But I don't know if I'm going to run a 3rd brake light. I think I was talking to you about that before. I probably will. I just haven't quite visualized how I'm going to do that yet. But so that's sitting there. So for now, I'll probably just terminate this to where it doesn't accidentally touch something and short out. Call it good, but at least it's there. So the next step is, so also, shoot, I didn't pull it out of there. I gotta pull this back apart a little bit, but in here is my fuel sending unit wire. That'll get split off from here and go into this little hole. And there's a new grommet, so I gotta put a new grommet in there. That's where the fuel sending unit wire goes. And then when it comes over here, the wires will split, obviously. Some will go to my left brake lights, some to the right. And here, this guy here is license plate lamp wiring. There's a new grommet for that too, so this guy can get pushed on out. And somewhere here, oh yeah, I'll take this apart take these off and I can get to that. And I got a new bulb for that anyway, so I need to do that. But that's about it. We're getting close. So I'm going to work on rerouting all this stuff, kind of getting the wires go where they need to go, and then I'll show you guys terminating, because if I remember right, these have a different end on them than like the headlights and stuff. Let's see here. Too much crap. Yeah, so here's my tail section. Let's open this up now. So here's the new soft, pliable grommets. These will just go right in here. I'll pop that all the way in later. That'll go on each side. Then so I have two different styles of single bulb holders. I believe these are for license plate lamps. I believe. I'm not positive. Oh, I gotta read the instructions. And these are for backup lamps. But pretty easy. They're already like terminated and everything's got to butt splice them. And then these are going to be for the actual brake lights. So these go into the socket in the back and turn. So if we look here, well, here's my passenger one. This one's all rock hard. I'll have to get some pliers, but this is what plugs in here and twists, connects to the bulb. So these ones are pretty simple also. So a little booty, that's the boot that goes on the back of it to protect it. And they use these terminals. So once you terminate the wires, then they just slide in there and clip into those brass fittings. Oh yeah, and here's the grommets. Well, that one might be a little small, but I have more for the other wires. The other thing too with these wires, no matter what year you have, because they kind of go outside the car, is this tubing here. So this is kind of what the factory used, was this like plastic tubing stuff. Which, I mean, it's just a matter of cutting it and sliding your wires in there before you terminate them. But I would recommend using that. That'll really help protect the wires from water and mud and anything else. And if you have like a 55, 56, you should have been using this stuff on your headlights too, since those aren't protected. Which, I don't know if this 57 I need to, but figure that one out. You can see here, like, here's the factory backup lamp. And this is rock hard, but this is what's on here. This stuff here. It's just really hard. Yeah, so it looks like these guys are for my backup lamps, at least. I'm assuming these are license plate lamps, but I'll have a look. I'll let you guys know here shortly. Alright, we get back to work running some of these wires. I'll pull this apart because I got the new bulb. So I do have to pull this bumper off in order to get that in, which I don't feel like doing today. But I'll at least get the wires to where all I got to do is just connect it. Okay, I'll be back. Alright, I kind of laid these wires out, like right here is driver's side, and I kind of laid them, I put them through that big grommet and then up into the actual taillight housing to kind of get an idea how long these wires need to be. So then I snipped them that length, put the plastic tubing protection on there, slid the new boot on there, and now let's show you adding this guy to it. So again, these are just the rollover crimps, which we've done, 100 times so far, so nothing new there. Do the first one. And the second one with the insulation. Perfecto. Let's grab this guy. The hardest part of this one is going to be remembering to put on your pieces first. But do this guy here. These are brass ones, so they're pretty easy to do. Okay, so there's those. Then, oh no, I'll get to that in a minute. So all you got to do is just take them and slide them in there. But before I do that, I'm going to take a little of this painless dielectric grease and squirt in there, just for a little extra insurance. And I'm going to even put some on this side too, where the bulb goes, just a little bit there. Now there is, don't just shove them in there, there actually is a correct side. So if you're looking at it from the side you shove them in, you'll notice that there's these tabs on the side that stick out. They're not directly across from each other, they're not parallel, they're offset. So from your view, this top one is like the 12:45 position, and the bottom one's like I'm sorry, from your view that'd be like 11:50, and then from the bottom 6 o'clock. So the top one where it's offset gets the pink wire. So we just slide this guy on in there, and then the bottom one gets the black wire. And there we go, they lock in. Okay, so that's kind of our tail lights. And then once I put them in there, I'll slide these all up and install them. And same thing, I'll put a little dielectric grease on there. That really helped it pop on in the front. Then the tail light, or I'm sorry, the backup light, mine take this fitting. I believe these are just for a different year. I don't remember on my dad's 55 if they took this style or this style, but I believe these are all just for backup lights. But these already are terminated, have their own wire on them, so you just got to butt splice them. So I did put the butt splice and then put the heat shrink over it to seal it all up. Remember, corrosion's not our friend. I have a spare wire too that you're going to see, this blue wire. This is the amp turn on wire from the radio area. I'm going to repurpose this, and I think I'm going to do flamethrowers on this car. I'm not positive, but I want the wire there just in case. So then the other thing I did was, here's the turn signal or brake light housing. I took my Dremel with this little wire cut brush, and I went in there and ran it in and out a bunch of times, and even went in here and kind of polished this back up and got all the dirt off of it. Again, got to keep it super clean. Funny thing, even on my dad's car, we were having issues with the brake lights not working properly after we wired it, and it actually was this fitting here that crimps onto the housing. This is a 55, but it was like corroded or something and not making good contact. We had to like turn it, and then it was all good. But Yeah, so you got to kind of make sure you're getting good grounds, right? So let's see here. Let's turn on my light here. Let's see up there. All right, well, here, let's do this. Let's start here. So what we'll do, so you can see the hole now, is we're going to feed all this stuff through. And the green wires for our backup light. And I'll put some sort of protective coating on, sheathing on that as well. Pull this guy up. These guys are tight also. I mean, it wouldn't exactly hurt it to put some grease on there, kind of help it slide in the hole. There we go. So there's my sheathing already from the outside. So kind of, this is how I want my wires to lay down, like that. All right, let's go under here and hook this stuff up. Let's see if I can set this camera down one way or another where you guys can see and I can have two hands. How's that look? Maybe kind of, sort of. So I'm going to slide this, well, this guy here, I'm going to put in first. And I don't know which way it goes, so I'm just going to do this by feel. I guess I could look at it from the outside. That might be smart. Okay, I think the pink wire goes like this. Pink wire goes to the outside, I think. Let's try it. A 50-50 chance, right? Nope, maybe not. Hey, there we go. Okay. That slid in and gave it a little counterclockwise twist. Oh, where's my grease at? Just gonna put some around the end here to help facilitate this rubber boot going on. Okay, that pretty much is on. Yeah. So there's that, and this plastic sheathing, I need to slide down the wires all the way. And I'm probably going to put a zip tie at the end of them there just to make sure. And here's my backup lamp, and it just kind of flops over here. Again, I'm going to put some sort of sheathing on this to protect it from getting cut or chafing or anything. Here's that extra wire, which I will tie up, zip tie on up out of the way. And same thing all the way up here. I don't know if you guys can see this. Here's that boot coming through the trunk. I think what I'm going to do is put a zip tie around there and just kind of pinch it shut so that Nothing can go in and out of that little hole. But you can see the clean contacts in there now. So I'll get a bulb from my bulb kit, pop it in there, put the lens back on, and moved on to the other side. Okay, so that's all back together. I still have to put in the backup lamp assembly, but then that just pops right into it. I ran the wires over here, got everything terminated for the passenger side. Same thing, backup lamp assembly. I pulled out the fuel sending unit wire and put in a new grommet right there and slid that on in there. The other one I pulled out was this red wire is the fuel pump hot wire. That's just a key on. It's basically if the key's on, it's giving it power wire, and I put that in there. I don't have any plans of running an electric fuel pump for the carburetor, but if I do LS swap it, I could probably use this wire to either trigger a relay back here or to power the pump. So I just want to kind of future-proofed it and put it in there. So let me get set up and I'll show you what it looks like and how to use this Classic Braid stuff, like especially when you have a splice like this. Okay, when you have ends like this or a splice where your wires split, you kind of have four options. One, you can leave it like this and tuck it away and probably nobody will ever see it. Two, you can take your zip ties and you could zip tie one on each, and that'll kind of help hold everything together. You could use electrical tape. This is mine, but Painless actually supplies it also. Or your last option is what I'd mentioned before, is this mastic tape. And I like this stuff a lot. So let me show you how this stuff works. So it kind of looks like a electrical tape, but it's not. And you don't need much because it's very stretchy and it sticks to itself really well. So you kind of get a little piece. Don't mind the dirty band-aid. Get a little piece. You pull the plastic off, so you have just this. And you kind of wrap it around itself and pull it tight. So and when you stretch it like that, got a bunch of dirt on it, hopefully it still works, it will stick to itself really well. And that one, so you can kind of see, just wrap it around each one. This one I didn't wrap. Might need just a hair more for that. And I'm surprised it stuck because I got it in that dust. So we'll wrap this around. Kind of like that. And there you go. Pretty simple. That stuff does not, it actually, usually if you get it real tight like that, if you go to undo it, you actually have to cut it off. So there you go. That's just like a super clean, professional look with the leaves in the way. So I'm running out of daylight, but tomorrow I'm going to continue and wrapping all the wires, everything. I'm going to do a bunch under the dash and under the hood here, kind of get all these wires all wrapped up and protected, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. I know at this point you're probably chomping at the bit to test everything out, but if you remember from the manual that you read over and over, do not just connect your ground wire. You're going to actually use a battery charger that's like maybe a 10 amp on it and use that, because that'll give it a lower amperage it'll click off if it draws too many. So if you have something that's shorting out, that battery charger will kind of help save any wires or fuses, because it'll click off if it draws more than 10 amps. So that's a tip that is in the painless manual to do. All right, check it out. So, I mean, you almost can't even see the wires, right? So I went and did all the Classic Braid. So you can see like all my wires along here, all this. Did like the little mastic tape here deal. Got a grommet in here that comes with the painless kit, the grommet. So these wires are all done up all the way over there down to the starter. You can't see it, but there's the wires, the headlight wires, and the main like charge wire that comes along here, comes out right here. I even put the single stuff on just this charge wire to fancy it for whatever reason. But even down here, I cleaned those up, just added a little bit more there. So that's kind of what you want it to look like when it's all finished. So one, just from a aesthetic purpose, it looks really good. Like you don't really notice any wires or anything. It looks really clean. Now if you went fancier and went, you know, your wires underneath the fender or something like that, I mean, man, you really wouldn't be able to see anything. But the other thing is it, you know, it offers that heat and cut protection and all that, which is really kind of the more important thing here, is to make sure that no wires are chafing or rubbing against sharp metal. Like even if it ever goes through metal, it needs to have a grommet. The other thing too, like so with this guy here, so I had taken out some wires, I had added some wires. The little zip ties, before you put this stuff on there, go about every 6 inches, and like before, after your splices, or your breakouts, I should say, and put those little zip ties, and then when you put this stuff on there, it'll go a lot easier. That's another good little tip there. But yeah, I mean, pretty stoked on that. So it took a couple hours, but I also put on some new like radiator hoses, a new fuel pump, doing some other stuff under the hood here to get this thing a little bit more ready to be a driver. Still need to order a generator too. I did order a new voltage regulator, should be here today, but I still have to finish doing the Classic Braid on the rest of everything. And I still have to wire up my dome light, so I'll probably do that here shortly. And then hopefully tonight we can test this thing, because I want it dark out, so turn on the lights and everything, so we can make sure everything works. And that'll be kind of the end of it. I have a couple wires that I still have to hook up. The horn wire, when I get my horns figured out. The fuel tank sending unit wire, I didn't show you guys that because one, it's just a basic connection, but two, I don't have a fuel tank in this car. I have it, it's over there in the garage, I just haven't put a new one in. The old one was full of a million rust holes. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm gonna pretty much call it done, minus these couple little odds and ends, but I'll show you what it looks like all lit up here tonight. All right, it's pretty dark, getting there anyways, dark enough to see some lights. So I wired up the starter, got that finished, wired up the dome light that you can see glowing, got that finished, so that's obviously working. My little door jamb switch doesn't appear to be working though, so I might need to buy new ones of those, but courtesy lights are good, so I got to mount those up. Let's see here, check that out, so you can see the lights are all on. Sweet. Probably hard to see because the dome light, but clock light is on. Promising. Let's go back here. Got a tail light. The other one I still haven't bolted up yet. And we got our park lights. Okay. Now let's go headlights on, and we'll turn the key on. So we have our generator lights on, our blinkers on. Oil light is not on. I wired that up, but might just be a bad sending unit too. But let's go look up front here. So got our blinker going, got our headlight. Might be nice to have an under hood light, just for, have to look those up and see how much the little repo ones go for. Let's see. If you can see out there, let's see. Oh, high beams. Oh, and look at, I don't know if you can see that little red Chevy symbol, high beam indicator, means the high beams are on. Pretty sweet. Let's see, what else did we wire up? Let's go see if the blinker's working in the back here. Oh yes, and actually that's brighter than I anticipated. Even though the car's not running, I mean, when the car's running, obviously it'd get more power. I can't test the backup lights, I don't have those in yet, but I assume pretty much everything's working. I don't have the license plate light in either. I need to get a new little holder for it. Pretty sweet though. The fuel sending unit, or my fuel level, went up when I turned the key on. Let's see here. Ooh. So that works. Won't know my temperature until I get it running. That heater doesn't seem to be working, but I don't know if it's the switch, that resistor, or the blower motor. So I might just buy all three. That way everything's new and I don't have to mess with it. But pretty sweet. So, alright guys, this is it. This is the end. We've done it. We've rewired a Tri-5 from bumper to bumper using the Painless Kit 20105. Honestly, is not a bad job, just time consuming. You know, you're gonna have to pretty much take out your rear seat, your sill plates, things like that. Obviously a little bit easier for me because I don't really have much of an interior at this point, but not, you know, still not a bad job at all. The big things are just to remember to read the instruction manual maybe a couple times before you start, because there's little pieces in there of things that you need to move around before you actually start wiring up, so that's important. But yeah, that's it, man. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, put them in the comments below. Happy to answer those for you. Please make sure to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. You know, if you like Tri-5s, keep watching the channel, because I got more content coming on this car, my 55, things like that, and who knows what project I'll drag home next. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.